So, can I get your help with something in the barn?
Cal asks. You excuse yourself from planting to follow Cal.
Something's wrong with Socks.
Cal says, closing the door behind you.
She won't eat and she cries all the time.
You look into Sock's crate. She's almost too big for it now, even curled up in a ball. She raises her head and peeps miserably at you, then curls even tighter, her bulbous antennae drooping.
She looks paler, right?
Cal says, coming up beside you.
And she's always sleepy and cold. I don't know what to do. She won't eat leaves anymore or anything else I bring her. Potatoes, corn, wheat, beans. She just chews them and spits them out.
He points to the lid of the box.
She's been chewing on our box too,
he says.
I'm worried she's gonna chew her way out and escape while I'm not here.
Cal rubs Socks under her chin, but she barely responds to his touch.
You've been outside the walls, right, Saul? Have you ever seen any animals like Socks? Full-grown ones? What do they eat?
I'll look the next time I'm surveying.
Thank you, Saul.
Cal says, sighing as he closes the box.
I'm really worried.
You wake to the sound of your parents arguing in hushed tones, clearly trying not to disturb you. You blink away the sleep from your eyes, eventually remembering. Wait, isn't today your 13th birthday? Where's your birthday cuddles? Your parents always make a big deal about your birthday. You peek out through the privacy curtain on your bunk and listen in on their argument.
You're being unreasonable,
your mom says.
Soul is a teenager now. You have to give them the opportunity to take calculated risks, or they'll start acting out. That's just what being a teenager is.
Going off into the wilderness isn't a calculated risk.
Your dad replies.
It's too dangerous.
It's weird to hear your parents arguing. If they ever disagree, they sort it out quietly or go to mediation. This time they sound really upset. It's unsettling.
You don't need to.
They glance at you. Your mom holds up her hand to silence you and goes right back to talking.
Geranium,
she grates.
You've said yourself that we need every person out there surveying for edible native plants. You're even going yourself. Why not our child?
Your dad flails his hands helplessly.
Because, Flulu, they're our child. It's our responsibility to keep them safe.
You're not keeping anyone safe by coddling them.
Your mom almost shouts, and your dad flinches in shock.
Soul's survival depends on them understanding this planet we're living on. So you're not doing them or the colony any favors by pretending like that's not the case.
Stay quiet.
Anything you say would just make them more upset. And they're doing a good job of that all by themselves. But you're so angry with them right now. Why can't they act like proper parents? They argue for a little while longer before your dad raises his hands in defeat. Your mom's fierce expression softens.
Hey, Soul. Sorry, it's your birthday today, and here we are arguing like a pair of assholes. Happy birthday.
They both give you a hug.
We meant to order up from the canteen and have your usual birthday breakfast, but we got to talking about how Utopia's opened up positions and expeditions for kids 13 and older, and, well, that's you now.
I suppose we'll have to let you spread your wings someday.
Your dad relents.
I just feel better knowing you are safe here inside the colony walls.
He gives your mom a faint smile.
We decided early on to let you choose your own path in life, so if you want to join expeditions, we're behind you. Just be safe.
You find your dad comparing some plant samples. When he sees you, he puts down the test tubes and gives you a big hug.
Kiddo!
He exclaims, then kneels down to look you in the eye.
I've been thinking. I want to say I'm sorry your mom and I were arguing on your birthday. We disagree sometimes, just like every couple, but it's unfair that you had to see how the soy sausage gets made.
It's okay. He pats you on the shoulder.
Thanks for saying so. You're a great kid. Your mom and I talked it out.
He continues.
We're both just really putting our everything into the farm right now, and it's making us kinda snappy. You don't have to worry about it, okay?
He squeezes you in a hug.
If you want to join Utopia's exploration team, just be careful. It's dangerous out there.
Tangent is standing still with her face held up to the sky, letting blue snowflakes land on her cheeks. They melt almost immediately. She doesn't move as you approach. After a minute, she winces and rubs her eyes.
It stings,
She says,
because it's made of acid.
"Acid snow?" Tang nods.
The holonet entry says it isn't harmful. It freezes at 12 degrees Celsius and turns into tiny crystals that are so heavy they fall from the clouds. You can see them under a microscope.
She sticks her tongue out and lets some of the flakes fall on it.
It tastes kind of sour, but sweet.
She observes.
Fascinating.
Tang pulls a sample jar out of her coat.
We know what it's made of, but our understanding is incomplete.
She says, and places the jar on an outcropping of rocks.
The big mushroom changed in shape and color before the snow began to fall. I wonder, is there some sort of signal that precedes the changing of the seasons? What happens if I expose samples collected in dust season to snow from quiet season?
A small, excited smile creeps across Tang's face.
There's so much to learn about this planet. I can't wait.
You and your brother are so much alike. Tang narrows her eyes.
Yes, we used to get that a lot.
She says,
I guess it's still true if you think sneaking out of the colony is the same as valid scientific research.
She frowns at you.
He's so dumb.
She mutters and shoves her hands under her arms.
He only cares about feelings, especially his own.
When you boarded the expedition's autobus this morning, you didn't know what to expect. It trundled you and the other surveyors a few clicks north to the prosaic plains. A high, flat area with cooler weather than your colony. You could barely control your excitement as you watched the landscape change. And now you're here! You're finally old enough for a real survey mission away from the colony. You greet Chief Surveyor Utopia at the depot.
This here's a plas cutter.
She says, handing you one.
It's a tool for cutting and heating things. You can use it to make a fire, cauterize a wound, boil water, and cut some materials pretty alright. You can use it for self-defense too, but I don't suggest it.
Are we gonna be in danger? She makes a so-so motion with her hand.
This is a quiet area, and what we're doing, we're not supposed to be in danger. We're just gonna be taking notes and pictures, keeping track of all the flora and fauna we see. Just don't touch anything unless I ask you to take a sample. Everything is potentially dangerous. We don't know much about what's out there, which is why we need surveyors. Even youngins like you.
The prosaic plains are a sparse region, like you can assume from the name. You can see things from a long way off. Utopia sees you squinting at the horizon.
And what are you gonna do if you see something coming for you?
Avoid it!
Good kid.
Utopia approves, patting you on the back.
We don't need any trouble.
Dis joins you. He must have come on an earlier autobus.
Oh, good, you're here.
Utopia says, digging out another plas cutter for Dis.
You two greenhorns are with me for the foreseeable. Now, we don't gotta sniff each other's butts all the time out there, but I do expect y'all to be in yelling distance. Comms can get pretty spotty out here.
You and Dis shared knowing glances. You've both been sneaking out to explore long before you were officially allowed to. Utopia also hands you a surveying drone and shows you how to launch it. It'll automatically perform local scans of wherever you go, though detailed scans still need to be done manually. When you return here to the depot, it'll upload its findings to the HoloNet. Your job is to cover the ground, see what's out there, and as long as it isn't dangerous, record it. She slaps you on the back.
All right, team. Don't get yourselves killed out there, okay?
Something big suddenly bursts out of the jungle and scampers across the path in front of you. It looks like a miniature landslide, bush-covered stone being pulled forward by powerful arms. Hot on its heels is a second one, a little smaller and bushier, but just as full of energy. Oh, are these bush pups? Utopia's mentioned seeing them, giant creatures that look like boulders, but grow fruit like they are plants, like they are part animal, part vegetable, and part mineral. They charge back and forth across the path as you wisely keep your distance from the powerful animals. But for all the crashing and stomping they're doing, they don't actually seem to be angry. You'd swear they were actually being playful. Get closer to watch. They seem to be playing a game of tag. When the chaser catches up to the runner, they reverse roles. They do it with such gusto that the surrounding underbrush is completely crushed in a wide circle, an almost perfect circle. Then, all at once, the first one crouches down on the path and tucks its arms and head under the bushes on its back. You'd swear it was just a rock now. The second one circles the first several times, sniffing, then crouches in the same position. Now might be your chance to get past them. Keep watching. In perfect sync, the two creatures slowly stretch out and up, revealing their rocky bodies and reaching their surprisingly long necks up to the sky. They begin to shake their bushes and rattle their antlers in rhythm with each other as they stomp slowly around the clearing they've made. You think they are dancing. The intensity of the dance increases. They are both shaking their backs so hard that some of their branches and fruit are flying loose. Instinctively, you reach out to grab a piece of fruit. At that movement, the dancer shifted and... Youch! One of them steps on your hand with the full force of its massive body. You let out a cry of pain and clutch your hand to your chest. Oh, that looks bad. The two creatures had been so intent on each other that they hadn't noticed you there. They are startled and perhaps embarrassed that they take off running in opposite directions. Well, that was weird. There's not much to find out here, but the peaceful atmosphere is great for contemplation. You find a particularly beautiful little plateau, where you can see the plains spread out before you like a picnic blanket, round lakes dotting the land like glimmering mirrors of sky. Dis is scouting further ahead. He was eager to find some adventure. Stop to meditate. You focus on the sounds around you, on your breathing, on the feeling of your butt on the rock and the slightly cool breeze on your face. It's very peaceful. You can feel yourself relax as you become one with the planet. You've stopped to admire the light glinting off the water of a shallow circular lake when you notice some strange rocks near your feet. They are pink and red, bobbing in the shallow water at the shore. The rocks are flashing golden yellow. This one, then that one, then a pause, then that one, then the first one again. You thought it was reflective sunlight at first, but no. The rocks themselves are glowing. Repeat the pattern. You play a memory game with them, touching the stones and the pattern they give you. You feel emotions coming from the rocks. Affection, interest, gratefulness. Somehow you understand. They like the contact. Are they creatures or rocks? Sometimes the lines between the two can be blurry on Vertumna. They can't move, but learn about the world from creatures who pass by and touch them, like the way animals rub to leave their scent. These rocks entice animals to play with them and leave information about the world. You get the sense they are excited for your new scent. To what end? You don't know. A bushbub's blocking the path, lumbering slowly back and forth between a dense strand of gloopmushes, or whatever those plants are called, and a wide circular lake. It's like it's on some kind of patrol. It growls a warning when you try to squeeze past it, so you back off. From the look in its eyes, this one isn't letting you through easy. Find a route through its territory. you sneak through the gloop bushes, crawling under them as the bush bug doesn't see you. You nearly get stuck at one point and wonder, what if Dis has to come rescue you? That would be embarrassing. You find a route through and continue on your way.
Hey, Soul.
Dis greets you cautiously as you pass on the narrow path.
Hey, do you want to... want me to show you something?
Dis almost never makes overtures of friendship. Whatever it is, must be pretty cool. Nod quietly and follow him. You follow him for nearly half an hour. A couple times he stops to listen for something, then continues onward, tromping through the fields of broad-topped mush trees and swaying antler ferns. After a while, you start to wonder if he's just lost. You're about to say something about it when he holds his hands up for silence and directs you to crawl under a huge mushroom. On the other side, you have a view down to one of the perfectly round ponds. Taking up most of it is an enormous Xeno, its legs deep underwater.
It's a ball meal.
Dis tells you.
They live in the swamps. You don't usually see them here.
This one seems totally at home. It dips its long neck and even longer mouth into the pond, sucking up water from the bottom and spewing it out of a spout at the back of its head. The spray of a beautiful turquoise water sparkles in the sun. Tiny, colorful bird-like creatures dart around it, catching the tiny fish that come spraying out. What's it doing?
I think it's eating the mud.
Dis says.
Or something really, really tiny in it.
You watch for a while.
It sure eats a lot.
He adds. You stop to watch a herd of shaggy, purple-furred animals slowly meander down a slope. You've never seen them before. Study them. The creature's fur is like grass, so they must be a kind of photosynths, an animal that gets part of their energy from the sun. They couldn't be arborescent photosynths bushbubs, because they've got branches growing out of their heads and backs. You check your survey journal. It says bushbubs are common here, but they are smaller, solitary creatures. So, nope. And they're too small to be ball meal photosynths, who don't usually leave the water. You found a new species! Maybe that would be cool. You decide to name them just in case. You look at them through your holoculars at maximum zoom. You can kind of make out that they have super long jaws, like a huge underbite. You name the species the Sunbaskers. Naming things is hard, so Sunbaskers will have to do. You log your discovery. You're too worn out and tired to continue. You have to go home now. Go home. Your mom is tending to her garden as you relax nearby. You're both happy to leave each other alone, but you can hear her muttering to herself as she pulls weeds.
every day.
She grumbles.
Think I was never here at all with how some of these weeds grow. I thought that bringing only nice plants would mean that we wouldn't have to weed as much, but these Vertumden plants, they're unstoppable.
She pulls hard on a weed, which turns out to be a huge creeping vine that yanks out a few flowers.
I just want one place on this planet that's ours.
Help her pull weeds. You get down there and help your mom pull weeds for the better part of the afternoon. It's surprisingly hard work. By the end, your back and shoulders are aching and the palms of your hands are on fire. Your mom dumps a huge armful of weeds into a wheelbarrow.
These go all the way to the edge of the colony.
She says wearily.
Whatever plant these roots belong to, they're invading my garden.
She turns towards the walls and yells.
You stupid pink bastards! Stay out there where you belong!
Your dad was sniffling and sneezing pretty bad this morning. He collapsed around the same time last year, so you've been feeling anxious about his health, especially now that the pollen is back. He's working hard in the fields, respirator hanging from his neck as he grunts and shovels dirt into a wheelbarrow. He sees you coming and stands up straight, coughing a little as he stretches his back.
Hey, kiddo. What brings you out here?
Dad, you have to wear your respirator. Your dad makes blah 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 motions with his hand.
I do. Don't look at me like that. I'm just getting some fresh air. It's hard to breathe with that thing on. I'm racing to get these pixie beads in the ground.
He continues.
We're all set to have a great harvest in time for Vertumdalia.
He leans on his shovel, tugging one foot behind the other and rocking back and forth.
Truth is, I've been working like a dog. I'd love to get out of here for a while. Hey, what do you say you and I go for a little walk?
He says, brightening.
I know you don't get outside the walls much either, but we could do a little nature walk. I study all the plants the foragers bring back, but I've never really seen them in the wild.
You want to go outside?
Sure.
Your dad says.
People can want to try new things, right? Your mom doesn't see the draw.
He continues flipping his shovel up onto his shoulder and picking his way carefully out of the turned fields.
She likes what she can control, you know? But there's a whole planet out there and I want to go explore.
He stops and doubles over, suddenly racked with a coughing fit that makes him unable to speak. He tries a few times to catch his breath, but each time he just starts coughing harder. The pink pollen in the air swirls and eddies around you both. Maybe you should stay indoors.
Oh.
Your dad wheezes.
You're just like incense that'll stick in the mud. I remember when we were younger, she was always walking around with her nose in everyone's business. She always thinks she knows what's best for people.
Despite his brave words, he has to hold on to you for balance as he catches his breath again.
Okay. Maybe now's not the best time.
He gasps, finally putting his respirator back on.
But you and me, we have a date with the outside world, kiddo. I'm taking a rain check. Whew.
He says, his eyes red-rimmed and streaming from irritation.
I can't wait until Instance figures out a treatment for this shimmer thing. She says maybe next year, maybe the one after that. I'm gonna be the first in line, you bet.
terrain here is strange. Some kind of smooth rock, covered in lichens and tiny plants. It's weirdly warm and the spark snow melts when it hits it.
Carefully move over it.
After cautiously walking around on it for a few minutes and observing quietly, you realize the ground is alive. It's rumbling very slightly. What you thought was just a rock slowly opens. It's an eye. It stares at you dreamily, and you stare back, fascinated. This must be a very ancient creature. It's so vast. It's completely merged into the surroundings. There are even trees growing out of it. A little animal, like a moth with huge webbed feet, lands between you and the massive eye and starts preening. The eye dilates to focus on the moth. Then it slowly closes again in what you think might be contentment. After a minute, you feel a faint rumble under your feet. Regular breathing in and out. Snoring. You creep off the creature, careful not to wake it again. One of your jobs as a surveyor is to document the flora and fauna through photographs. You've spotted a small animal in the crook of a tree. It's so perfectly camouflaged, you can only really see it when it breathes. You've got a built-in camera into your holopalm, but it's not equipped to capture difficult shots like this. You'll need to put in the work. Find a good angle. You climb up a tree and get an angle from above, not disturbing your subject. It comes out great, very avant-garde. Utopia is glad for the shot. Drifts of spark snow make this area hard to pass through. Your feet keep sinking into it, and you have to work to get them free with every step. The only way forward here is through an especially deep area. Take a break and play in it. You make a snow buddy. Or at least you try. The tiny blue crystals don't pack together very well, and the stuff quickly melts just from the heat of your body. The acidic snow gives you a hot, scratchy rash between your fingers. You probably should have worn gloves. You appraise your lumpy snow buddy. It looks a little sad. Maybe it just needs some accessories. With some twigs and grass and a weird kind of jelly you find seeping out of the ground, you give your snow buddy antlers and fur. It kind of looks like a snow bush bub. You almost bump into Dis. He's being so still and quiet, hunched over and looking down a little knoll. He shushes you and points.
Don't scare them.
You follow his finger and see what looks like a bush shaking violently. 2 bushes, actually, at opposite ends of a clearing. Oh, they're bush bubs. From far away, they really do just look like plants and rocks.
They're fighting over territory.
Dis says. How do you know that? Dis shrugs.
If you're quiet, you see them a lot.
You watch the 2 creatures face off, rhythmically rustling the leaves that grow out of their heads and backs. Their gangly branch-like antennae swing over their heads as they rear up to their full heights. Even from far away, they look imposing, like agile boulders. One goes, then the other. They watch each other carefully, alternating and repeating the other's motions, trying to outdo each other. Ultimately, the smaller, more graceful one seems to be declared the winner. The loser plops back down and shuffles away into the jungle, defeated. You spot some familiar-looking fruit. Hey, you've seen this bush before. That's no rock underneath. It's all part of one creature, an arborescent photosynth, a bush bub. It pays you no attention, continuing to blend in with the rest of its surroundings like a boulder. Just ignore it. You spy a creature that kind of reminds you of Cal's illicit pet Socks. A dilly pillar, maybe? Except it's huge. Really, really long. Like as long as the stratospheric. Enormous. Could it be the same? You aren't totally sure. You watch it using your binoculars so far in the distance. It looks like a train crawling along one of the great cliffs, along the resting ridges to the west. It crawls down the cliff face toward the Great Plains not far from you. Stay back and watch from afar. It sniffs around the base of the cliff for a long time. The cliff is made of sparkling iridescent rock, almost the same shimmer as the dilly pillar's scales. Pretty. The dilly pillar starts to eat something. You can't quite see what from so far away. It seems to be eating something that grows in the rocks. It grazes for nearly an hour, then crawls back up the cliff face and disappears, heading west. You take diligent survey notes, but you have another motive. Whatever this creature was eating, maybe Socks needs it too. After it leaves, you investigate the base of the cliff to where it had been. There are some scrubby grasses growing there that seem pretty common. You grab a few handfuls of these, and a flower you've never seen before. Orange and kind of lumpy. You uproot a few of these as well to bring back to Socks. Better bring these to Cal. You spot an enormous, unfamiliar flower. Large, waxy petals join to form a basin brimming with goopy yellow gunk. The entire thing has a sticky, melting look. The awful smell of the juice permeates the area. It's like something died in here. Wait and watch it. One of the nearby bushes starts rustling. Oh, another bush bub! It approaches the plant and dips an arm into it, bringing it to its face and licking it. Then it sticks its head right in there and drinks. You try not to gag. Blech. After some long, deep gulps, the bush bub wanders away looking slightly tipsy. Leave it alone. You quickly move out of the plant's stink cloud radius. Not today, Stammen. Go home. You find Cal and excitedly drag him into the barn where he keeps his pet dilly pillar. I brought some plants for Socks to try. You tell Cal about the dilly pillar you saw in the plains.
She's really gonna get that big?
Cal breathes. He looks as worried as you feel. You lay out the native plants for Socks to try. She sniffs each one, nibbles one, then another. She rejects all the grasses and twigs. Cal groans and pulls his hair. Last up is the orange flower. There are some dirty rocks attached to its roots. And when you go to brush them off, it attracts her attention. She crawls onto your arm, sniffs closer at the rocks, then tentatively licks one. Then she squeaks with joy and puts it in her mouth.
No, Socks! That's not food!
Cal exclaims. Then you hear her grinding away at it with her teeth. She does have very big molars. They almost look like they are made out of crystal rather than bone.
Wait, do you have diamond teeth?
You take a closer look at the rocks. They seem to be the same iridescent mineral as the cliff. You give it a lick, but it doesn't taste like anything. You both shrug. This is the happiest Cal has seen Socks in weeks. You guess she needed some rocks in her diet. Marz insists on being the one who talks to people and takes requisitions. While you work hidden in the back loading packages onto the conveyor belt, Marz is counting her kudos tips for the week. Marz hoots.
10 kudos! I'm gonna buy so many sour sticks with all these tips.
It's not fair. You're the one running around in the back doing all the heavy lifting while she gets all the credit and kudos. And you want those kudos because you're saving up for something. Marz sees you barely control your anger and can't help but rub it in.
What?
She says innocently.
Are you jealous?
Pout. Instead of gloating, Marz looks put out.
Ugh, you're no fun. Here, have half the tips. I don't even want them if you're gonna act like that about it.
You realize she was only acting like a brat to make you angry. She didn't want to win, she wanted to fight. For Marz, having a good argument is entertainment, better than watching the same hollow vids over and over again. You're getting older. It's that magical time in your life, full of discoveries and possibilities, when children become adults and their bodies change in weird, wonderful, and often embarrassing ways. When you were younger, congruence gave your class a frank presentation about preparing for the changes your bodies would experience in the next few years. Which parts of the presentation was relevant to you? None of it. I'm like a doll down there. Thanks to Genetech, your body doesn't need to conform to expectations for sex and gender. It's the future. You and your friends giggled your way through Congruence's presentation and left with a new appreciation for the wonders of the human body. Puberty had felt like something that would happen so far in the future that it didn't apply to you. You put it out of your mind. even as you notice Cal's voice begin to drop or Marz starting to dress differently. Until one morning, you wake up and something feels different. You can tell you're in a weird mood before you even open your eyes. The sound of your parents moving around your quarters irritates you. Why can't they be quiet? Why do you all have to live in the same room? Can't they just leave you alone? You throw back your privacy curtain and snap at them to shut up. Your mom and dad blink at you in shock for a few seconds. Then your mom's face goes red.
Excuse me? Kid, you do not speak to people like that.
Screw off! Your mom opens her mouth to yell at you, but your dad raises his hands for peace.
Hey, now let's walk it back a bit.
He says, diplomatically.
Soul, you can't expect total silence when we all live together like this. If you're cranky in the mornings, you need to go to bed earlier. Teenagers need more sleep.
Your mom opens her mouth again, but your dad continues.
Flulu will try to be quieter. Soul is telling us that they are starting to need more space, right?
He's so reasonable, it just makes you even more angry. How dare he try to understand? You roll over in bed and sulk until they leave. You end up sulking for so long that you miss the window for breakfast in the canteen, so now you're hungry and upset. You scroll the colony's social media to try to take your mind off whatever is going on with you today, and happen to see a photo of your friends hanging out together in the construction lot beside engineering. That makes it worse! Your friends are having fun without you! Even though you chose to skip breakfast, it feels like a personal insult. How dare they? Don't they know you're sad? What is happening? You feel on edge today, like everything that feels so unfair and tragic. Like you want to punch stuff and then cry about it. Like you want to be left alone, but you also desperately want attention. It feels like a fount of new energy is starting to bubble up inside you. Dangerous, uncontrollable energy. Welcome to puberty, soul. You've heard Security Chief Rhett is on the lookout for lookouts. That is, for kids to go chill out on top of the walls all afternoon and count Xenos. Sounds way better than going to class. He gives you a once-over, eyes narrowed.
All right.
He says,
Look over there at the end of the field. What does that sign say?
read it out loud. You can read the sign easily. It says, if you can read this, your eyesight is 20/20. Huh? What a weird sign. What does that mean? Rhett nods in approval.
Good, you pass. Come back next month and I'll put you on the roster.
Moni is munching on a container of cut-up pieces of duskmelon.
My mom is kind of bossy, but she sure makes a great lunch.
She says, offering you a piece.
Gotta keep your strength up.
Here, I got something for you.
Hey, is this a birthday cake? Thanks for remembering my birthday.
You find Moni in the sports ball bleachers, intently focused on her hollow palm. She looks frustrated by whatever is on it. What's up?
I don't know what to get Calm for his birthday.
She grumbles.
I have to top last year, when I made up a sports ball trophy and gave it to him.
She turns off her hollow palm.
I'm just running out of ideas, you know?
He'd appreciate something from the heart.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Moni says.
I just don't want to get him a little kid gift, you know? Like how Mom taught us how to make stuff with macaroni and glue. The problem is, I'm not good at that stuff.
She complains.
What's something I can do that's easy but still cool?
How about a friendship bracelet? Moni snaps her fingers.
That's right!
She exclaims.
Cal knows how to make all kinds of knots. He can probably help me figure out a pattern.
She beams.
Ah! This is a great idea, thank you, Soul.
Hey, Squirt, what are you doing up there?
You look down at the pitch, where Calm is standing with a sports ball under his arm and an easy smile.
Is this knucklehead bothering you?
Moni gasps, then laughs.
Calm!
She whines.
Soul is my friend, we're just talking.
Calm drops the sports ball to the ground and rolls it under his heel.
I'm getting the team together to run some drills. They can come too.
Moni looks at you, hopefully. Sure, I could use the practice. Moni cheers and scampers down the bleachers, laughing herself into a full-body hug with Calm. You follow her descent more cautiously, listening to her chatter with Calm about her day as they walk together across the pitch. She really loves her big brother. Moni is sitting in the sports ball dugout, her feet propped up on the bench.
Hey, Soul, what's up?
Want to train together? You used to be able to go mano-a-mano with Moni, but she's been training hard. You get your butt kicked all over the sports ball pitch. She leans over you while you're lying on the floor, completely gassed.
You okay?
She laughs.
I didn't go too hard, right?
The other agriculturists don't treat you any different for being Flulu's and Geranium's kid. You do exactly the same tedious, back-breaking, and sometimes miraculous work as everyone else. It's a blessing and a curse. It's for Tumnalia! Time for speeches, games, and feasting. You stare hungrily at the feast table. Sure, it's mostly soy rations, but it's still more food than you usually see all at one time. This year, though, there's something new. Great big tureens of glowing beans. Weird. You try to sneak some food before the speeches start, but Chief Engineer Instance catches you and smacks your hand away. Your mom gets really mad at her, and it causes a huge yelling match. Your dad directs you away from the table as Instance blames your mom for the way things are right now. Whatever that means. Your dad passes you a soy sweet to keep your tummy busy during the speeches. He's the best. Governor Eudicot takes the stage and manages to calm everyone down.
Welcome, everyone, to our 4th Tumnalia celebration,
she says, speaking through a maxophoner. Her voice has been getting weaker lately, and can't reach across the square the way it used to.
I'm proud, as always, to stand before you as your governor, and to celebrate another year of peace and prosperity on this beautiful planet.
Eudicot steps aside, wobbling a little as she walks. leaving Seek to complete the annual formalities. Your mom steps forward.
This year's feast includes a new glow-in-the-dark food. Pixie beans are our first domesticated Vertumnan crop.
The crowd applauds, and your mom raises her hands.
Credit goes to Geranium. He insisted that we dedicate a third of our fields to them. So, you'll also have him to thank for the light show in your toilets tonight.
A smattering of laughter ripples through the crowd. Your dad chuckles nervously. Your mom's smile fades.
As you know, we lost our hydroponics and microbial soil during the wormhole accident.
She says,
These pixie beans will make up for the losses we faced with our earth crops.
Eudicot's weedy voice rattles through the maxophone.
Thank you, everyone. Let's get on with the games.
The crowd packs away the chairs as the children gather in the square. Which competition do you participate in this year? Bot Quadrathlon. Calm directs your attention to this year's edition. A cloth-covered mountain as tall as 4 adults, studded with mysterious protrusions. He pulls it back to reveal...
The Tower of Terror!
He announces with a flourish.
Test your courage with 3 stories of ladder climbs, followed by a death-defying leap of faith onto the poof-shroom mats.
You, Moni, and Cal take in the majesty of the Tower of Terror. Both of them are hooting and pumping their fists, absolutely bonkers about jumping from 3 stories. You'll all still be doing the wrestling, agility, and accuracy portions of the course, but clearly this is the winner by popular vote. How about you? Are you ready? Start the quadlathron! You blow through the obstacle course, the basket shooting, and the bot wrestling with ease, and you arrive at the base of the Tower of Terror with a determined gleam in your eye. You scale it easily, of course, it's only ladders. Sure, it's really high ladders and a huge jump, but you just close your eyes and pretend you're jumping into a great big vat of pudding. Com awards you first place in the quadrathlon! Congratulations! Finally, it's time for the feast! The pixie beans are a hit. Your parents keep touting their many benefits. They grow well here, they're super nutritious, taste great, they are really versatile, and kids love their bright multicolor. Your rumbling stomach has made you grouchy. Your parents won't let you eat until they finally stop bragging about their dumb beans. You consider the options: pixie bean soup, pixie bean salad, pixie bean chili, even pixie bean aquafaba dessert. Everything glows in the evening twilight. You sullenly shove your pixie bean everything around on your plate. You don't even want to eat them anymore. Stupid beans. Stupid feast. Stupid games. Stupid everyone. Ugh! Every time someone turns to talk to you, especially about how great these beans are and how great your parents are for growing them, you just get more irritated. They are just beans. It's like they love these beans more than they love you. You're probably just hungry. Eat your pixie beans. You want to rebel against these stupid beans, but the truth is, you're too hungry to resist. You count backwards from 10 to calm yourself down so you don't blow up at your mom. Why is she smiling all the time? Ugh! You settle on glowering at her over at your plate of glowing beans. She notices, but just purses her lips and turns away from you to talk to someone else. Rude. You shovel food into your mouth, trying not to look like you're enjoying it. It's okay. It is as delicious as everyone said, and you start to feel more human the more you eat. Right. Yeah. Food. Food is great. You do feel better after you eat something. Everyone's in high spirits after dinner, breaking off into little groups to talk or make music together as the sky darkens for the shortest night of the year. You feel your mood improve by the minute as your friends pull you into a fun, rhythmic clapping game. As your irritation fades, you wonder if this is what congruence meant when she warned that your hormones would make you feel out of control sometimes. When you go back to your quarters to get ready for bed, your dad gives you a big hug. It's exactly what you needed. You attend a secret Fun Times Club meeting. Marz brings the meeting to order. Tang reads the minutes of the previous club meeting.
First order of business is that I'm instituting a new rule.
Marz says, and then clears her throat.
Rule 5. All members of the SFC must wear uniforms to all club meetings.
She taps her hollow palm and shows you her uniform idea. Black pants and dark blue shirts with high necklines and billowing at the cuffs. She definitely designed them according to her own taste. No way! You boldly tell her that you'll quit the club if she adds this new rule. The others all back you up. In the call, Marz calls a vote and she is soundly outnumbered. Marz accepts this with surprising grace.
I'm only trying to make us look more legitimate.
She sniffs.
But if you feel strongly about it, that's fine. I'll keep working on it until I can find something everyone can agree on.
That Marz! You forgot that she's actually really good at solving conflicts. Surprisingly, she's not angry with you. In fact, she seems genuinely impressed that you stood up to her.
It's boring when people just agree with me all the time,
she tells you with a wink. You come to a compromise. Instead of uniforms, you'll all wear a lapel pin with the club's logo. You spend the rest of the meeting designing SFC pins and printing them on a nano printer. If anyone doesn't have the kudos, Marz pays for them without complaint.
Some people get the sniffles during pollen,
Cal says.
My mom says it's because your nose thinks the pollen dust is itchy, so it turns on the floodworks to wash itself out.
I found something you might like. Cal gasps.
My favorite food! And on my birthday too!
He makes grabby hands at the cake and takes a big huff of the pleasant sugary smell as his eyes slip closed in sheer pleasure.
Wow, Soul!
He breathes.
You are really the best of the best. Here, you have a piece too. Let the icing melt in your mouth and let all your worries melt away with it.
Instance breezes into the classroom, 5 minutes late as usual. She gestures and all your hollow palms pulse with a new file downloaded.
Pop quiz,
she says, sounding bored.
Show me what you've learned about Earth's ecosystem, why the climate crashed in the late 21st century.
You and the other students exchange looks of horror. A pop quiz? Two people look unfazed, Tang and Cal. Both are sitting near enough that you could probably ask them for help before the quiz begins. Ask Tang for help. Tang rolls her eyes, but obligingly rattles off a few facts about the late 21st century while the other students prepare for the quiz. You're not sure if it'll help, but maybe something will stick. Take the test. You did well. You just tried to imagine the most destructive things humankind could do to the planet, and that was usually the answer, no matter how far-fetched. Deserts growing, terrible storms, sea level rising, species becoming extinct. Whoa, scary. Cal and Tang look happy with their scores too. As you file out of class, you catch up with Tang and share your thoughts about what you've been learning in class. Earth humans had space travel. Genetech. Shouldn't they have been able to fix the planet? Isn't science the solution to everything? Tang scoffs.
Not even science can help people who don't believe in it,
she says.
Even if the solution is obvious to anyone with half a brain. If the people in charge don't do what needs to be done, what's the point?
She stomps away, clearly frustrated by the subject.
So, what do you think about this?
Marz walks towards you haughtily, stops, poses with her hand on her hip, then turns and walks away.
I call it my cool walk,
Marz says, looking over her shoulder.
I also have a boardwalk and a flirty walk. It's important to switch it up once in a while.
I found something you might like.
Ha!
Marz laughs, taking the crystal and turning it over in her hands, inspecting it.
Well, I've had better birthday gifts this year, but I admit this crystal is pretty fabulous. I'll add it to my collection.
The colony has one massive multi-purpose programmable bot. Usually, geoponics uses it to till fields and help with the planting and harvesting. It breaks down a lot, but you kind of love it anyway. It's a big, slow friend. At one point, you kids started decorating it with stickers, and your mom never stopped you. You and Cal are out in the fields, where they are planting a new crop of pixie beans. These things are incredible. They glow in the dark. Cal is in a goofy mood and doesn't want to work. You've got the robo-plow for the day, and he suggests you ride around on it. Just do your work. Good job! You and Cal trudge along behind the robo-plow, removing rocks that missed and dropping seeds into the furrow. After a few hours, your backs are sore, but the fields look great. Your mom actually smiles when she sees the field, and gives you a handful of kudos. You're cleaning the bot off to put it away for the night when Security Officer Rhett shows up.
Hello, children. When you're done, please deliver the MMPG to the garrison. We need it to shore up the walls tomorrow.
Wait, but we need it tomorrow.
Cal says. He strokes the sticker-covered flank of the bot.
Are you gonna bring it back after?
After we're done with it.
Rhett replies. You and Cal exchange a look. Working on the walls is a never-ending project. You get the feeling if he takes the plow, you won't be getting it back anytime soon. Certainly not in time for the next harvest. I should check with my mom first,
Are you sure?
Rhett says.
Come on, don't be childish. You can just tell her we needed it.
Okay, I guess you can have it. You don't really have many options here. Rhett is an adult and chief of security. You don't feel comfortable denying him the plow. You agree to deliver the robo-plow to the garrison when you're done cleaning it up. The next day, your mom is pissed. You can hear her yelling at Rhett over her holopalm in the tone of voice like when you're watching a holovid and someone's mom uses their first, last, and middle name. You never see the robo-plow in geoponics again. You don't really understand these grown-up politics, but you feel bad anyway. Marz may not be as skilled a sports ball player as Anemone, but she plays hard. She orders people around like a team captain, but she isn't so great at passing the ball. She'd rather be the star. Her favorite thing is to spike the ball right into the opposing net stop's body. It's not a legal move, but she's done it so many times that the opposition now stands further back when Marz has the ball, which is exactly what she wants.
Did you see that?
Anemone complains to you during the break.
Marz wouldn't pass the ball to either of us for 10 whole minutes. Somebody has to do something.
Anemone looks at you questioningly. Let's just not pass her the ball. For the rest of the game, you and Anemone pass to each other and ignore Marz. She notices, but just assumes you want to be the star too, and doesn't give you any hassle. The thing you've noticed with Marz is that she loves to be the best, but she doesn't have the kind of ego that makes her mean about it. It doesn't really solve the problem, but it's kind of fun anyway.
Requires a nearly continuous supply of glucose.
Tang says.
Glucose is commonly found in food we register as sweet, which is why humanity has evolved to crave foods that are high in sugar.
Tang looks up from her holopad with a thoughtful look.
I have very little desire for sweetness.
She muses.
Does that mean my brain is more efficient than that of other humans?
Here, I have something for you.
It seems you remembered my birthday.
Tang says, taking the roots and turning them over in her hands. Her lip curls in distaste at the dirt that still cling to them.
How thoughtful of you. I have much to do today. Let us set these roots aside to analyze later.
She turns to walk away, then remembers herself.
Thank you.
She adds, almost as an afterthought.
Everyone is so dramatic right now.
Dis mutters, kicking a rock with his hands shoved in his pockets.
Who cares who said what to who, or whatever? It's so dumb.
Dare you to eat this worm?
Oh yeah?
Dis counters.
Well, I double dare you to eat a worm.
You can't just turn down a double dare. You're no meek little hop-eye. Slimy, unsatisfying. Very, very gross. Dis eats his like a noodle, slurping it up and wrinkling his nose as it wriggles in his mouth.
Yuck,
he says, swallowing it whole, then shows you his empty mouth. You should have known better than to dare a person who fears nothing. Dis is skipping stones across a flat stretch of rock.
I talked to my sister today.
He says, skip, 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 skip.
She's doing some kind of super secret extra credit project in engineering. She wanted to gloat, I guess.
He tosses a rock into the air and catches it.
Whatever. She just likes it when people pay attention to her.
Does this interest you? Dis blinks owlishly at your gift.
Is it my birthday? I almost forgot. I hate when people make a big deal about my birthday. But this is nice. Thank you.
You and Moni have a competition to see who can get the most goals with their eyes closed. You manage to squeak out a win against her. She pouts a little, but you can tell she's proud of you. It's been a long month of being cooped up indoors while it poured rain and everything got too muddy and gross to play outside. You and the other teens are in the lounge again, and everyone's getting a little antsy. Tangent and Cal are bickering about something, and Dis must be bored enough that he's letting Marz paint his fingernails. Moni is trying to do a dance she learned from watching holovids, and she's failing miserably. The sound of her music fills the room. You're starting to feel a little off too, but it's weird. Like you want to yell, but at the same time you want to take off all your clothes and streak through the colony square. Moni dances a little too close to Marz's collection of nail polish, bumping into the table and sending them all, and herself, clattering to the floor.
Hey, watch it!
Dis snaps.
Dance your stupid dance somewhere else.
It's not stupid.
Moni sniffles from the floor.
You don't have to be so mean to me.
Boo-hoo.
Marz teases.
What are you gonna do? Dance about it? Ugh, you're all so childish. Who even cares?
Hey! Everyone, just shut up!
Cal exclaims from across the room.
Honestly, you all fight all the time. You stay inside where it's nice and dry and you don't appreciate how hard everyone else is working. It's just whine, whine, whine.
You're not better just because you work outside.
Tang joins in.
You're not special, Cal. If I wanted to, I could work outside.
She opens her holopalm and flies her fingers over the screen.
There, see? Next month I'll be working in geoponics. How do you like that? Then you can nag at me about my soft hands all you want.
Eudicot pokes her head in from the command corridor.
Children, keep it down. We can hear you all the way from the bridge.
Everyone goes quiet for about a second, and then explodes into arguing again. Eudicot throws her hands in the air and retreats down the hallway in defeat.
Everyone just shut up!
Everyone ignores you and keeps squabbling. Marz chases Cal and everyone else chases her. And somehow you all end up in the classroom. Suddenly, Marz shouts.
Okay, everyone! Everyone!
She claps her hands.
1, 2, 3, look at me. Everyone, shut up.
Everyone stops arguing and looks at Marz in shock.
I have an idea.
She says.
We should decorate the classroom.
No one seems excited by this prospect until she adds.
With toilet paper. Come on, it'll be pretty.
Now everyone's on board. You can feel yourself getting excited too. This is so naughty. You might get in trouble, but who cares? You're having fun. Try to stop them. Come on. No, you don't. You're feeling just as silly as everyone else. And who's it going to harm? It's just toilet paper. It's just going to get put in the organics recycler anyway. Marz shoves a roll of toilet paper in your hands and tells you to get to work, or else. You join the others in throwing rolls of toilet paper over anything you can reach, decorating the classroom with roll after roll of white, gauzy garland. By the time you're finished, it drapes off every desk and science experiment. Marz looks at your work with satisfaction.
Much better,
She says. Chief Engineer Instance finally arrives to see what all the noise is and throws her hands up in dismay. The kids scatter before she can make anyone clean up. The next day, you all feel terrible. It feels like your arms and legs are made of lead, and it takes so much energy to do anything. You can barely make it out of bed. All the energy from yesterday has been drained out of you, and then some. It lasts for a week. Some of you can't even get out of bed, and when you do, your moods are all over the place. Aggressive, sulky, impulsive, until your batteries run out and you sleep for over 12 hours straight. You're resting in the lounge with your friends, watching holovids and grazing on roasted pixie beans, when your dad and Chief Engineer Instance come storming through the door.
You!
Instance snaps, smacking the bowl of pixie beans out of Marz's hands.
Stop eating those, this instant!
Marz looks like she's about to smack some sense into Instance, but your dad steps in.
I'm sorry, everyone. We were wrong about the pixie beans. They're not safe for you kids to be eating.
You've been feeding us poison?
Marz shrieks.
Oh, ew! Do my dads know you tried to kill me?
Your dad spreads his hands.
No, they're not. Don't worry, Marz. Calm down. They're not poison. There's just a chemical in them that hyperbonds to estrogen and testosterone, your big teenage growing hormones, and the brain likes binding to the new macromolecule a lot more than the regular kind. It's been making your moods unpredictable and causing periods of hypo and hypermania.
When Marz just stares blankly at him, he laughs awkwardly.
Translation,
he says.
It's been making you kids act silly and feel sick. I'm sorry.
Instance frowns.
If it's doing this to kids, it's not long until it builds up enough to affect the rest of us too. Until further notice, no one is to eat a single pixie bean.
Your dad looks distraught.
Flulu was right,
he says, collapsing in a nearby chair and rubbing his eyes.
She didn't trust these things. But shit, she's still going to be pissed that we don't have another successful food source.
You look at him in shock. You hardly ever see him swear. It must be worse than you think. Your dad sits there in silence for a long time. You're relaxing after hours when Auntie Seedent pops her head into the lounge.
The kitchen,
she announces in an artificially sweet voice,
is looking for someone to help with part-time cooking duties. Someone young, someone responsible, someone organized, someone...
She stares pointedly at the teens in the room.
Who might have too much free time on their hands.
Volunteer. She bustles over you.
You'll be perfect, soul!
She says, hugging you, then loudly to the others in the room, she declares,
I'm glad somebody around here is responsible enough to put in their share of work.
Everyone else ignores her, shifting awkwardly. No one wants to disappoint their auntie. Auntie Seedent gestures towards the nearby cafeteria and tells you to come by next week so she can show you the ropes. Another year, another glow. Everyone's pretty sure there's going to be an attack this year, so the colony is on high alert. You're collecting glowflies in the geoponics garden with Cal and Moni when the sirens begin to wail. You all stop what you're doing and look at each other nervously. Your parents run off to help defend the farms, telling you to get inside the greenhouses and stay quiet. Moni declares she's going to the walls to watch the soldiers fight, She knows a good spot. Get inside and stay quiet. You and Cal do as you're told while Anemone heads for the walls. You manage to push a trunk of gardening supplies across the door. They are automatic doors, so it won't stop them from opening, but at least it'll buy you a few more seconds to run away if something tries to come through. Cal looks up at the glass ceiling and walls.
If they come through the door,
he mutters. He shows you a good hiding spot, and together you curl up and try not to make any noise.
I just hope nobody gets hurt,
he mutters, hiding his face in his knees. After a while, the all clear rings through the colony. You and Cal come out from your hiding place and creep back outside. In the distance, you can see 2 of the largest fields have been torn up. Cal shoots you a worried look, and you go back to collecting glowflies in silence. You watch your mom and dad survey the damage with grim, tight body language. Your parents are arguing quietly at your table.
I'm telling you, it wasn't a fluke,
your mom says.
They're not just wild animals. They have a plan. Fields. Lights.
Okay.
Your dad replies, taking her hands across the tabletop.
We have to tell people what we saw in geoponics.
They look up, noticing you in the doorway. Your dad's worried expression quickly changes to a smile.
Hey, Rutabaga.
What happened to the fields? Your mom stands up.
Don't worry about that.
She snaps.
Get to bed. It's late. And we have a lot of work.